Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex from Ahmad Acrylics, and today we have an interesting video. We have cheap paint versus expensive paint to make a galaxy, so let's get right into it. I have to make sure the entire canvas is dry before I begin, but once it's dry, let's get right into it. I'm just going to put a tape in the middle so we could see the differences between the two galaxies, and then we could start. We're going to be starting with the cheap paint first, which is going to be from Deco Art, and it's going to be Tropical Blue. And you can see that the price varies from $1.50 to $2, and I got this from my local dollar store, so it's quite cheap, so you could get it from there too. The first thing right off the bat is that I noticed that the cheaper paint is much more runny, and this could be an issue in the future, but let's see. Now for the more expensive color, it's going to be Monte Morte's Cerulean Blue, and you can get this from Amazon for $16.99 if you get a bigger amount, or if you get the kit, which is what I did, you can get a bunch of colors as well as Cerulean Blue. And what you can notice from the consistency of this is that it has much more form and it's a lot more steady. Now moving on to the application of the first color, which is the more cheaper one. Since it was more runny, I noticed that it did apply a lot easier, so I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10 in terms of applicability. Now based off of color vibrancy, I did think it was going to be more brighter and more bluier, but it did seem to be more of a light blue, so I'd have to give it a 6 out of 10. Now moving on to the expensive paint from Monte Morte, I noticed that the applicability was a bit more difficult than the other color, but it was still pretty good, so I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10. Now in terms of color vibrancy for the more expensive color, I noticed that it was much brighter and more vibrant, and this is what I was kind of looking for in a blue, so I'd have to give it a 9 out of 10. So now what I'm going to be doing is mixing the cheaper blue with some white just to see how it would go, and I can see that it's blending and mixing pretty well, and let's see how it applies. So I have to give it a 6 out of 10 because I'm not a really huge fan of the color. I was hoping for it to be a bit more vibrant, and I didn't add much white, and even then it's pretty dulled out, so I'd have to give it a 6 out of 10. We're going to give the mixing another chance by mixing it with black, just so I can have something for the depth of the painting. And I noticed that it's really not giving me the color that I wanted. Instead of a darker blue, it's kind of giving me a light gray, and I would have to give it a 5 out of 10. Now here I'm just kind of relayering to try to make some sort of galaxy with these colors, but I was having a bit of a hard time. Here I'm just adding some black to add some depth to the painting, and this will help make it look more like a galaxy. And now the video is quite sped up just because I don't want to waste your guys' time, but if you're interested in seeing an in-depth tutorial on how to make a galaxy for beginners, then click on the top right. Now in terms of adding details, I did notice that since the paint was a bit runnier, it was a bit easier adding some details, so I'd have to give the details an 8 out of 10. So now what you see me doing is just taking a brush, making it a bit wet, and then using some white to make some stars. Then this is just going to make the galaxy come together. So now a bit of a more detailed look, I'm just going to add some stars by hand. Now we're going to be doing the mixing with the more expensive color, and already I can just tell that this color is going to be more what I was looking for. Instead of being a duller white blue, it's more of a brighter, vibrant light blue. So for the mixing, I'm going to have to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it did a pretty good job. So now, checking how it mixes with black. Again, this is kind of what I was looking for. It was supposed to be more of a blue-gray than a light gray. And that's kind of what this paint is doing. So I'd have to give this, mixing with black, an 8 out of 10. In terms of details, this color did pretty good, so I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10. Of course, gotta add stars on this side as well, so I'm doing the same thing. I'm just using a brush, putting a bit of white on it and water, and I'm just making some splashes. And then obviously you can't forget the manual stars. And there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I would have to give the final ratings a 6.4 out of 10 for the cheaper paint and an 8 out of 10 for the more expensive paint. Applicability, I would give it to the cheaper one because it was easier to put on, but other than that, I would say the expensive one takes the cake on everything else. I hope you guys enjoyed what you saw today. If you want to see more content like this, let me know in the comments below. Both the cheap and expensive paint will be in the description below, so if you want to try it yourself, you can go right ahead. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care.